Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and I am here to answer a curiosity. Both to answer the question and to see if I can complete the run that it builds. I am a little hesitant about this. The question was, what in my opinion would be the absolute worst build you could possibly put together? There's so many things that can potentially make a bad build. But we are going to come together and try to figure out what those things would be. Now, I'm not necessarily going to be using what I feel is the worst robe, which, by the way, couldn't be anything other than Pride, but since that's specifically a challenge run robe, what do I feel is the worst robe in the game? See, the thing about the level robe is that it works particularly well in scenarios of particularly long runs, and it works pretty well when you're doing the retro floor plan, because every enemy defeated takes away from that, those degraded numbers and starts to improve it to the point where you're actually getting positives on those. So this is only the worst robe in the short term. But everything else has a pretty decent use, so I'm not going to take the robe into account. I'm just going to give myself the generalized hope robe. So now, let's go ahead and roll the soundtrack choice. Alright, so piano it is. As far as the worst possible build you can make, well, let's have a look. Now, you guys should remember that, in my opinion, some of the worst basics in the game were things like Riptide or Phantom Division. Now, Riptide, I'm well aware of the idea that it's more of a defensive thing, but it just holds you still a little too long. I don't know. I've talked about that before, but then we got to Phantom Division, and oh boy, was the crap Sunday on display hard with this one. So, which one do I think is worse? Now, you can make the argument that Phantom Division, because of how fast the rogues come out, the whole point of it is to be more of a speedy deterrent thing than a full-on damage dealer. But Riptide's benefit is that it's a very good defensive wall. It's very good at holding enemies still, and it blocks projectiles pretty well. It's not what I want out of a basic, but there you go. So, which one do I think is worse? Well, that's very much just down to opinion. By the way, if there's anything else in the game that I think kind of comes into that really awful territory, there's nothing as bad as those two, but I would say Flame Cross and Perforating Jet get close. So, what would be worse? Something where the upgrade doesn't benefit it very much, or something that can't be upgraded at all? Exactly how bad do we think each one of these is? Now, in my personal opinion, there's a lot of variables to go over, like whether or not it can be upgraded, how much damage it does, how fast you can move out of casting hits, how fast the projectile goes when you throw it, etc., etc. There's so many things. But I think if I were to say which one I personally think is worse, I'm giving the edge very so slightly to Phantom Division. It just has that chef's kiss of crapitude. with its awkward range and its really garbage damage. So I'm going to give it to that. Now, worst dash in the game. Now, I haven't done the dash attack tier list yet, and that's mostly because I've just been busy kind of taking care of business and putting my life back in order. But if I had to give a worst dash, wouldn't be any of these, even though there is some true garbage there. I think the two worst dashes are Bubble Blast and Circuit Line. Circuit Line because it takes forever to align anything that can be properly useful. And Bubble Blast because it's random as hell. Now, which one do I prefer, slow or random? Or rather, which one do I feel is worse? Personally, I think random is worse, so I'm gonna give it to Bubble Blast. But let's not think that we're letting Circuit Line off the hook, because this one is just plain awful. In a fast-paced game, you don't have time to sit there and wait for something to take effect. So yeah, that's pretty bad. As for which one is actually worse, that's hard to say. I don't know if it's Circuit Line or Bubble Blast. All I know is that they're both awful. You could honestly do a coin flip on this one. Maybe Circuit Line is worse. No, let's just grab it. What the hell? Now, the worst standard. Oh boy, we have so many that we could go through. The wards are all particularly bad, even though I know that there are people watching this right now that are going to disagree with that statement. But let's see, Grasping Earth. Look at that. It gives you a big area of effect, and its cooldown doesn't even start until you use the stupid spell. That's really bad. And even though Lightning is home to some of the best spells in the game, such as Bouncing Surge, Twin Turbines, Dynamic Disarray, I really like Bolt Claymore and Thundering Chain. Let's be fair, it's also got its share of complete and utter garbage. Surge Anchor is one that I typically like to vote as the worst in the game, but can we do worse? It's slow, but I would say Ion Spike at least is still somewhat usable. Like, I was gonna say that Ion Spike might be worse, but no, I'm pretty sure Surge Anchor is definitely worse. Permafrost Bulwark is also pretty garbage, but at least there's a way to effectively use that. Creeping Tendrils has terrible range, but after that it's good. Bubble Barrage is randomness given form. Like, it's a toss-up, but I think I'm still gonna give it to Surge Anchor. No, not this. See, here's the thing. That looks awful, but not only does it block projectiles, but when it gets... So it's obviously defensive in nature. And even though defensive spells generally aren't my bag, when you upgrade it, it creates a barrier on 3 sides of you, which is really impressive. And it still blocks projectiles at that point, so... Definitely worth it. Alright, so Surge Anchor is the garbagest of the garbage as far as standard spells in my opinion, but Grasping Earth is also really bad. So now finally the question becomes what is the worst signature spell in the game? And honestly, most of these are at least somewhat usable. Like, there's nothing here that I look at and go, yeah, that's particularly garbage, let's throw that out. Blazing Blitz, in my opinion, is pretty bad just because of how long it holds you still. But the signature version of it goes a little faster, so it's something. We've discussed homing flares and the idea that I was probably wrong about that. Inferno Beam also holds you still for quite a ways. For quite a long time. And if you go to dash out of it, well, you lose the whole thing, so it's pretty awful. Raging Inferno. I can't really label this as bad because even though it doesn't do much more damage than the regular cast, you still get the regular cast coming out at double speed, so I can't call that awful. I just call it mediocre. None of these are what I would classify as bad. Like, the worst one is Spiraling Typhoon, and even then, I wouldn't call it necessarily bad. It just takes a while to come out when you signature cast it. So it's hard to use against bosses, but it does fantastic damage. So all you really need is the anchor, and you're set to go. Earth. Honestly, probably the worst Earth Elemental one is the Rock Solid Tomahawk, and as you can see, it still gives you a pretty effective orbital. So it's niche, but it's fun to use. Is it fantastic? No, but it's not bad either. I've come around to the idea that rock and roll is pretty awful, but I still don't think it's quite... Let's see. This is still usable. I know I bash on Heroic Maelstrom a lot, but the fact of the matter is it's still usable. Because when you signature cast it, you can move around with the ball of water, so you're not completely vulnerable. It's still not my favorite, but, I mean, it's got more positives than negatives. Rebounding Icicles is pretty bad. If you ask me, that just doesn't do enough damage to justify it, but because they go out and home on their own, it's still better than rock and roll. You all know why I don't like Voltaic Needle. This is a very interesting kind of pull effect. Still better than rock and roll. And I'm not the biggest fan of Arcane Intervention, but that's only just because it's hard to use. When you use it as a signature... Yeah, the big problem with that one is that it's hard to use, but the effect is nice, and it can pull enemies off of you. No, I think in the long run, I've got to give worst... Well, Magnetic Breakers is pretty bad. But not horrible. Because, again, the spell itself is alright. It's a very effective projectile-based get-off-me option. No, the problem with Magnetic Breakers is that when you cast it close to a wall, it just doesn't do anything. And sometimes when you're stuck in a corridor like that is when you want to use it the most. But that still doesn't make it quite as bad as rock and roll, so we are going to take that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I feel is what the worst run in the game probably looks like. So now here comes the big question. Can I win with this? Probably not, but I am going to do my best to make this a run, and we are going to see if we can do it. However, I am not going to be doing this with the retro floor plan active. No, that just seems like a horrible idea. Like, I really don't see myself having a good time trying to clear this run with the retro floor plan. So we are going to take the melting pot. And heaven help us, let's try to clear this run. And for what it's worth, I am not going to be holding back on which Arcana I choose to take, because frankly, I need something that's... I need something that can be, you know, relied upon. Oh, hey, do you have anything good? Not really. Alright, well, we'll leave that be. Hey, Dark Sage, I thought you said Surge Anchor was bad. Oh, trust me, it is. But right now I am playing with fewer enemies than I'm used to, so right now everything looks easy. I'm going to want... After this level, I want fire for sure. Oh, and if you walk too far away from it, it doesn't send any electricity your way at all. Alright, so what do we have here? Kinda like the idea of Volt Pinball, just to give me a nice circular effect around myself. I do not want Blazing Blitz, just because of how long it holds you still. I know that there wasn't really a relic I wanted to buy, so I'll probably end up walking out of here with Volt Pinball. I also think that in order to give myself a little bit of an edge, I'm gonna go grab that pewter bracelet as well. That's right, birds. See, right now I'm not too worried about not getting chaos gems. I just need that extra bit of damage. Oh, it feels like every fight is just a trial. No thanks. Or rather, I should say yes thanks, but I can't because I'm doing a challenge. And even though there are way fewer enemies than I'm used to there being, I still feel like this is... I still feel like this is way harder than it needs to be just because of how stupid and unreliable some of these Arcana are. This coming from someone who used to really love... Yeah, this coming from someone who used to really love rock and roll, I hope you understand how much that's saying, because I used to adore rock and roll. Ugh. Alright, so there's a freebie there that I don't know if I want. And obviously we know why, because I just talked about how I don't like it. Now the game is like, hey, you should try this out. And I'm like, could anything be worse than trying to win a run with Surge Anchor? Alright, well, hopefully this is at least entertaining for you guys. I definitely feel like I'm getting kicked around more than I should be. Alright, well, we are going to upgrade the robe. More damage and more critical chance is definitely important. Because we're using Surge Anchor, this would be a bad thing to buy. But it would be nice to have something fire-based before Shu. Yeah, I can't really say as there's anything here I care about aside from maybe Lay's drum. Grab that. even think I want that, but it's just better than nothing. So I have really good electric resistance right now. Yeah! I so don't give a shit. Okay, somehow that worked. Alright, now it's time to suffer through... Yeah, I'll take that. We're gonna suffer through hell as we go fight Atlas. The one upside is that at least I know that his knights are, A, not going to be very prevalent because of the... Hold on. Because of the melting pot. Okay, I'm surprised I was able to break Taffy. Ooh, dynamic disarray. That's good. Definitely take that. Honestly, the cushion flip-flops are probably about the best thing, but I also want to wait and see what's being sold by Iris, because as much as I, normally wouldn't care, I do kind of want to get upgrades for Surge Anchor, because frankly, if I'm going to be stuck with it, I at least want it to be, usable. God damn it. Oh, thanks, game. I love being up buttoned. I want you all to understand that I am putting in a genuine effort. It's just these spells really suck. Wow, that was awful. Yeah, I'm not talking much because this is a really difficult run for me to use, even with fewer enemies than normal. Well, fewer enemies for me. It's a normal number of enemies for most of y'all. At least those of you who aren't using The retro floor plan. Red was taffy. Okay. Lightning chains deal additional damage. Alright, well, at least they're doing additional damage. Alright, let's grab that. And I might as well grab that too. More armor. Alright, but now I could really use like an actual substantial amount of damage now. Now, to be fair, plus 8.6 isn't exactly nothing. That's still more than I would be getting from the Amulet of Sundering. But I still feel as though I could do better. Oh yeah, there's another reason why that sucks. Rock and roll can't go over pits. Which, to be fair, its closest equivalent, Prickly Ballet, can't either. But that doesn't mean that it's not something to take into account. Might come back for Royal Flush, especially since it's on sale. I don't really want any of that. Don't get me wrong, none of it's bad, I just don't really want any of it. Go away now? Jeez. Seriously, how do y'all do this surge anchor shit? Like, this whole idea of having to keep the enemy between you and one specific spot is really awkward. And it only really works if you're already comboing them, at which point, why not just use anything else? You know, the one compliment I will give this is that because the damage ticks happen so quickly, the 3 or 4 damage that I'm getting from Surge Anchor is adding up. I don't want any of that. I am gonna grab that, just... You know, just cause. Open, damn it. Alright, I think that's enough. Like, I'm not even sure there's another combat room. Yeah, let's not assume that there is. Let's... Okay, I've got to get rid of you. Alright, somehow or another I'm making it. I didn't expect I would, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, not bad. Oh hey, that one's particularly awful too, but somehow I still think it would be better than rock and roll, but I can't take it. Namely because I can't change out my signature mid-run. Pardon me. I think it's funny that we have so much lightning going on right now because somewhere in the midst of everything, lightning is simultaneously the best and worst element for spells. But with that kind of inconsistency, can you really call it the best? Oh, we got Bouncing Surge. Don't really need Bouncing Surge. Oh, Criminy. Okay, well, geez, talk about catching me off guard. Where did you come from? Wow, I must be really blind. Really? Really, Brain? That's what we decided to do today? Working with perhaps one of the most difficult runs I've done in a while, just because all the Arcana are garbage, and you decide to... Well, with the exception of the things that I found along the way, but my starting Arcana were garbage. How about that? Phantom Division, stop sucking. I say that as if it has any capability to do that whatsoever. Eh. Oh, Volt Pinball, you are fun. But hopefully you're all understanding why Surge Anchor is awful. Because the moment you need to reposition to dodge an enemy attack, you just lose out on that damage. You either lose out on the damage, or you lose out on your health. It also doesn't stay active on hits, so bummer. You've seen me waste a good number of these on throwing them into pits by accident. Alright, well, Engulfing Fissure is on sale. Let's bring that to the good doctor and see what she's willing to give me. Prescription bottle. Sweet, I don't care. Well, I might, actually. Especially considering that I haven't even found Anders yet. Christ boy, why do you want to make making money for yourself that difficult? Oh well, I'm not going to turn down freebies. Oh, way over here. My boy. Yeah, there's nothing here I want. Or rather, there is something here I want, but it's being essentially absorbed for that, and I'm not going to get both effects at once. Oh, crap. And so here's what I'm going to do then. I'm actually just going to go ahead and buy that. Because even though it's not making that any better, actually there's no real point to that. I just wanted to spend money. Oh look, a ward. I don't care. Oh, how long did that take to get through stage 3-1? It's like it felt like a really long stage. Part of that was finding the vendors, but part of that was also just it felt like a really big stage. God, I hate this room so much. See, you either take 20 to 25 damage from falling into a pit, or you take way more than that being laser beamed by 3 of those Chaos Cyclops. It's an overall awful situation no matter how you look at it. Oh my god, I hate earth-based enemies on high level. I'm thinking about the Cruel Chess Clock, but I at the very least want to wait and see if I can get the other half of the Magician's outfit, because that would definitely be a much better pick. Like, I also get the feeling that if I didn't have the cushion flip-flops, I would have already lost this run. Oh, and for those of you who are thinking that I forgot a particularly really bad spell, don't worry, I didn't forget about Laced Lightning. It's just in and amongst all the others, at least Laced Lightning, you know, I'm not gonna say it feels like it has a purpose, but it's, at least with Laced Lightning, you can set it down and then, you know, still dodge enemy attacks and actually have a chance. So no, trust me, I didn't forget about Laced Lightning. I just think that in amongst some of the other, like, super garbage, Laced Lightning is the least of our worries. Like, if I were to put that into a tier list, I would probably put it at like a D+ rank, whereas Surge Anchor gets a solid B-. And for those of you going, oh, Dark Sage, it can't be that bad, you're winning the run with it. Is that what you think? Now, are you seeing something that looks like it can be redeemed? Or are you seeing someone with lots and lots of hours in this game using it to the best of their ability? Alright, 90 minutes through. And in one fell swoop, you saw just about everything that Laced Lightning is good at. And again, there are things that do its job way better. Like, I could even make a don't whiz on the electric fence joke, and Twin Turbines would still do that better. Damn it. Oh, well, that was awful. Surprisingly, I made it to the final level. Let's see if we can continue this on to a victory, shall we? Because I'm honestly surprised I made it this far. With this horrible garbage setup. But I still very firmly believe that that's partially because of cushion flip-flops. I think it's also worth pointing out that this has only ever done anything by accident. Okay, well, we are here. We are at the end. I'm honestly kind of surprised I got this far. And hey, if you guys are surprised that I got this far, then the least you can do is drop me a like and a subscribe, because I wasn't supposed to get this far. Not with this run. Oh my god, we're doing it! With theoretically the worst build I could possibly make for myself, but I'm doing it. Ow. Ow. Oh, that's not good. Can I suck less, please? Wow, I can't believe I did it. Alright, well, for you who were curious enough to ask, this is at least the starting Arcana, were the theoretical worst possible start I could possibly get. The idea that I somehow managed to win with this build is attributed entirely to Dynamic Disarray, Volt Pinball, and the Cushion Flip-Flops. So yes, it is possible to win with the worst possible build that I can conceive of. Tell you what though, if you guys can conceive of even worse, bring it up, let me know. I've subjected myself to clearly what I think is the worst thing in the world, so can't be that bad, right? In all reality, it can be that bad, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and as per usual, I appreciate you coming here and spending some of your free time with me today. I hope you're having a fantastic day or night wherever you may happen to be, and I will catch you in the next one. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and take care, everybody.